Ladies and gentlemen, it's the plate tonight. I told Dave got to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, roosters and hens and everything else in between. Cock Talk is out of rhythm, but is back tonight. And one man short tonight. We do not have our trusty man with the theories, but as always, Dave out there on an island by himself. But as always, I am Tyler at MBF Express. We have our trusty producer, Josh, at Grateful Coops, and the man alone on the other side of the screen. Who's can't wait to talk about chicken sex at Dad, at Schmidt Pecking Order Racing. Dave, gentlemen, how are we doing tonight? Is everyone hanging in with this lull right now?
Yeah. I'm doing.
Great energy, Josh. Appreciate it. Way to take that open 3-pointer and just
I didn't
clank it right off the side of the
I'm
backboard.
doing all right. I worked today. Had a full day of work, and I have a busy work week. Hopefully get some chicken races in this week. Do a little more of that. I'm getting more and more frustrated with my birds because I just can't seem to figure them out. Either that or they're all just junk. I don't know yet.
I finally got a bird up to 99 races, and now I'm being like super picky about her 100th race because I want it to go well. But I think she needs one more podium to get to like a 20% runner at 100 races. It's like, you're just good enough to make me keep running you over and over and over again, but not really good enough to make money. Yeah. It's about where my coop feels for these days. Good enough to keep running. I'm not bleeding.
Is this where I shouldn't say that I'm actually like positive ROI for the last week?
Oh, for 1 week.
No. I mean, it's still like it's I'm figuring some birds out. Okay.
Is it because you didn't race 1,000 times this week?
That is part of it. That is absolutely part of it. My actual race flow is down a little bit because I'm being a little more picky. But oddly enough, even on my plus ROI, that 100 track bird Cardiac Kid that I kept talking about last week hasn't won a damn race in a week. So as much
don't talk about your birds on the show.
Do not.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. It is a kiss of death.
I mean, they can't break Casey Jones any more than he's already broken. So,
but I think you brought up Casey Jones and then he sucked the next week. So we might be onto something here. We need to
if I just keep
of.
saying it, I don't know. Maybe we'll have reverse psychology going.
I don't think any of our profile pick birds are doing anything of note either.
Oh, actually, I threw Jackie into a race today, and she won out of nowhere.
So she's back above 10 for her PO?
I'm thinking so. She's close.
Listen, I brought happy birthday off the pine, and it should not have left the pine yet. So
back to the branch.
We got a long way to go before we figure out what's going on with that bird. But we did have some fun this week. We had our poker tournament finally just end about a half an hour ago, 45 minutes ago.
It was a heated one-on-one battle at the final table.
4.5 hours of poker.
Dude, every time I'd close it because I was trying to get our kids wound down, and I'd have it open, and I would your sister would be up, and then I'd close it, and I'd check back like 5-10 minutes later, and then Super Big Timer would be up, and it was like they're just trading chips back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah, the final three that took home some birds was third place was the BAWK father. Is that his third place win?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Last time too.
He
raced that bird's right. He raced the bird right after he received it, and the bird got third. So
all right, we're on you. But you know the name of the bird
There's
now.
A trend.
Third. The bird is third.
The third wheel. There you go.
I am third.
Yeah, I am third. And then we did have my sister at Britannica, Britanita, but yeah, it's affectionately named Britannica. Headed in with 20,000 chips, and Super Big Timer had like 120,000, and then they just battled back and forth for about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Britannica takes second, takes the beak ring, and Super Big Timer takes the cold snap with the victory. Very cool. Happy to do that again. I know everyone enjoyed that. Condolences to Whamola, who I'm pretty sure lasted about 3 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know Sooner got home from a kid's T-ball and looked at the phone, and Whamola was already out. I was like, oh no.
This can't be right.
He was out before late registration ended.
Oh no. Sorry, Wham.
So I think he was out before Fledge even showed up.
It's I should allow a re-entry while late registration is open. So you go all in first hand, maybe you could jump back in. I don't know.
But
maybe something down the road.
Wemola does want us to note that it was a bad beat. He got beat by like triples or something silly.
There was a couple real bad beats. I think it was ONN pulled at pocket tens, pulled a 10 on the flop, and then on the river it was like an inside straight pull to eliminate him, and it was just brutal. So
I think BAWK Father went out at 4 of a kind on the flop.
Yeah, 10 and then 3 10s. Bang.
There's 3 10s on the flop. Now,
bye. Like it went from like 50-50 to 0%.
It is over.
Oh, so yeah, that was a good time. I'd love to be able to play in one of them soon. We need to try to figure out something there, but obviously we don't want to get our Discord shut down according to what Twitter has talked about. So we'll have to be coy about that. But
no gambling. It was all free play.
Yes, this was all free play, right? All free
Just
rolls.
Own a barn to get in.
Yep. So that was a lot of fun. I liked following that around a little bit. Josh, you have something?
Well, I was just gonna say, is this a good time to seg into another thing we've been thinking about?
Another fun thing?
Yeah, I was gonna hold off the end of the show, but why not?
I mean, you might as well
tease it. Tease it out a little.
Is Fledge here yet?
Fledge is here. Yeah, he's here.
He showed up on time.
We can do it. Fledge is here. We can do it.
Yeah. So we like to do fun things in the chat, and
we like fun.
We're probably a little ways out from an actual like regulated good tournament that is something that we can run with talents and do it within a few days possibly. So we're a little ways out on that. So we got to brainstorming and came up with a different type of game that we can use for racing, and it's blackout bingo racing.
Yeah, that all came from just my head started spinning from last week. From the second he said it hit me. Blake last week asked me if I had bingo on my Know Your Horses matrix, and I was like, oh, I don't yet. And then I was like, oh, bingo, that might work. And then I texted Josh. I was like, this might work because that is the problem we're worried about. Without some private racing, without coming up with something catchy, and without knowing when talents are really going to be fully initiated, the true tournament is still kind of on the back burner. But we wanted to try to create something that was fun that we could do ASAP. And the 548, you guys are going to be the lucky test piggies,
guinea pigs
once again.
Yeah. So yeah, we came up with a bingo card. It's your traditional bingo card: 10 across, 10 down. Fill the squares. So we're going to be playing with this, and we're still trying to hash out, final details on how, like, the best way to go about it, because obviously everybody's going to get bingo. The point of the game is to get a blackout, and that's to fill out the entire card. So there's going to be a number of bingos along the way, right? So we've got to try to figure out a way to make that work. But yeah, there's a free space in the middle, like most bingo cards. So, I mean, at the least, you got to race like 24 races, and you could possibly get a blackout if you're lucky. I think it'll be fun. It'll just get some engagement going, get some people racing. It's not too tedious. It's not like very specific things. I mean, we feel that it's easy enough that it'll entice you to go and do it.
Yeah, and so that any Coop could do it, because there's no, none of it is heritage specific or perfection specific. Limits. None of it is price point specific. So if you want to enter 96-cent races over and over, and that's your way to fill it out, that's just as good as entering something higher stakes.
And honestly, I just love the idea of
Josh read something funny.
Fledge knows me too well. Josh has to check every single race on the card to make sure no one tried to cheat. I'm going to try to cheat.
Well,
listen, I stared at that card for probably a good 3 hours, and I'm like, what's the easiest bingo? Where's the easiest bingo? Must make it harder. There cannot be no easy roads.
well, the one thing that is there is a lot like bingo is, if you submit a card and it's wrong, you're eliminated.
Not
can't go again.
I thought we were gonna go restaart, like the full card.
Oh, right. Okay, that's better. Yeah, I initially was like, you're cut. But Josh was but Josh says you just get cut through. You get straight cut through, so you don't have so you have to start over all over again if you mess up. So so be it. We're gonna work that out. And obviously, some of the things will be easy. Some of the things will just be like race on this track or race on that track, and. Yeah. But other ones they'll be top
get
threes.
A top three.
Yeah.
get a finish bottom 3 in a race, or but finish bottom 3 in a specific race. And then there's like there's a little bit of everything. Any 4th through 9th place finish. I mean, on any track. And then I threw in any 1st place finish or any 12th place finish on a square here and there. So I mean,
a little bit of everything.
It'll be fun. It'll get you to start thinking about, I could get. There are some that may seem to double up. Like you may get a 1st place finish and want to put it on your square, but you want to make sure that it's not a race that you needed a top 3 for or something, So there'll be a little bit of strategy there to fill out, I feel like, and make it fun. So, Ross saying there's a free C race.
Free C race. Go.
Jumping.
Definitely not entering on my other screen right now.
I'm entering on this screen.
I restarted my computer, so
get in there, Franz Peckenbauer.
But yeah, the whole point is just to drive some engagement to actually race your chickens, and you're already doing that to begin with. So I think that's the cool part there. And I just love the idea of, you are 1 square away, and all you need is a chicken to finish 12th. Then you're just bitching and moaning to try to get a chicken to finish 12th to actually win this thing. And of course, we'll be putting up prizes for this as well. So it'll be a proper contest. And if we can execute
just for
this,
our 548 holders right away. Yep. We're going to test it out on them first before we do anything. We want to make this more, but we want to make sure it works and that it will be fun and engaging before we release it to the masses out there.
Yeah, it seemed like in the Discord, people were really into the idea. I mean, anything that incentivizes racing but doesn't 100% cause you to have to be a winning chicken, it gives you just some different avenues to play. Everyone's trying to have fun anyway, and do these races. So let's create a little bit more incentive to get you out on there and actually be racing the chickens and, trying to figure out different things and different reasons to do so. So we're doing it anyway. And now it's the perfect kind of setup to just have some fun and get some prizes out to you guys.
Yeah, so we'll do something for get the first bingo, first person to get a bingo, first person to get 4 corners, and then like blackout. Would probably be the tiers. So
I even thought that we could possibly just anyone who gets a bingo or anyone gets a 4 corners goes into a bit of a wheel spin lottery, and then we roll some things. So yeah.
We're throwing the ideas around. We're trying to figure out.
Tyler loves a wheel spin.
Yeah, he
loves the wheel spin.
He loves them.
I hate doing it.
As long as you get everyone's name on there, that's the thing.
I'll do it. It's happened like once. Yeah, you guys always let me know. Yes, always
another
let me know.
Free C. My goodness, why am I not
free C's all over the place?
Free C's.
Got to get them.
So yeah, let's just get into one more thing before the dev blog's pretty short this week.
It is.
So before we get there, before we get into chicken segs. This is a lull, fellas, and it's a bit of a bummer, and I know a lot of people are kind of just waiting around. There's one person who doesn't seem to be is completely unwavering and doesn't seem to care, and that's JSD Fadigal.
I believe is how it's pronounced.
Yeah, just buys everything that shouldn't be where it is and sucks it right up. But
I could get it.
Yeah, it is a frustrating situation right now to see the floor where it is. Although I completely understand why would you be racing your 90 Dorkings right now if you don't have to, 91, 92s and whatnot. I get it. It's an excellent entry point still for a lot of people once they find the game, which is great. But for the most part, I can understand completely the sentiment.
Did we ever see floors hit below this point where we are now? I don't think we really got below 0.2 for very long.
Things were selling here in the early days. Things sold here, but it wasn't consistently.
Yeah.
I think the hardest dips early on were about to where we are right now.
Prime time to get a bird.
Yeah, and that's another thing. It's a lot of the same people hanging around and still looking at this. It's not the most liquid market, so I understand that people are kind of just holding off and spending their money elsewhere, or just not spending their money right now. We also have, in the States here, over in the US, we have tax season that is rapidly approaching, and people need to figure out what they're doing there. And I'm sure a lot of people are just a little nervous about that. And, and then there's tax return season. So there's also that. And when that starts showing up, so, we are in a very touchy space right now, but the truth of it is pretty simple. nothing has really changed. The only thing that's changed is the market from where we were thinking this was a month ago. And the game has progressed more since then. So the talents are a big part of it. And obviously that's why we've been trying to pushing to do the Twitter raids. And we had JOS Kent and Fledge do the tweeter giveaway, which went to Little Balla, which was awesome.
Yep. She's been tweeting Tweeter's journey. He's been hammering the tracks.
Yeah. So, we're trying to reach out on a Twitter array a little bit and do some stuff, but for the most part, with the exception of some of the higher blue chip stuff and whatnot, the whole market's just a touch stagnant. We're still just waiting it out a little. So
yeah, I think it's important to kind of say we're in that stall. So like we're seeing a lot of undercutting, which is where the floor number looks terrible. But I just quickly filtered to see what was available below 0.042, which was the last mint price. And it is 119 chickens. So as bad as it is thin. Right? That doesn't even take a massive whale to come in to eat all that up. Like it just takes a bit of a positive push to the market, and that does go away pretty quickly. But the problem is when nothing's moving, the next guy who comes along has to undercut further.
Yep.
Right. We just saw someone liquidate a Coop tonight, and their last bird that didn't sell in 2 hours went down to 0.01 because nobody took it at 0.02. Right. Like, we're just in that kind of market right now where if you want out today, you have to go to stupid prices.
Yeah, and that is where we're kind of sitting right now. We're seeing stuff that just shouldn't really be there, but meanwhile, a lot of our bags are packed. A lot of the same people are here looking at the same stuff. We are watching a slow bleed, so why would you buy when there's a slow bleed coming? And the 0.02 Sultan will drop, and then that's the one you should be grabbing. A 0.12 Sarama, 94 Sarama sold today to also JSD, you son of a bitch.
That's an insta buy.
Yeah, it is.
If you got the liquid.
Yeah. So yeah, it's hard to talk around it. There's no real good way to talk around it. The only thing I keep, leaning in on is that the progress is coming in well.
Yeah.
And it's where we should be. So
talent soon.
And that's the weird thing. A lot of these people that are also listing are also just people I have never really seen be active on the market and list. It's a very strange time. New names are popping up all over the place that I've never seen before. This person had dumped today, never saw their name before, do anything, not in the Discord, not buying, not anything. So
why would I want to get out today? Jamuni says in the chat. Well, a lot of us that have been the faithful, the 200 or 300 faithful that you see normally rumbling either on the tracks or in the chats. We've watched the market the whole way. We've seen where it was. We've seen where it went. We've seen how low it's gone and where we're at now. A lot of those people selling, it seemed, like Tyler said, I don't recognize a lot of those Coop names as they probably aren't paying attention to the market as much as we are. So they're like, oh, well, let's see what I can get for these. All right. Thanks.
Yeah.
On to the next one.
Or he just really needed to mint cuddly kangaroos tomorrow and didn't want to miss out on it.
Need the liquid, man. It happens. But the market is going to be juicy for someone eventually once they see where we're at and once the talents start popping. And once we start hitting Twitter like we should be. And
if you timed it right with kind of watching the devs prepping for a marketing push, so if you had a deep enough pocket to sweep 200 birds off the floor and reset it, you could do all right. Quick double your money. If you time it right. Not financial advice, all that stuff. But
so, I mean, you think about all those birds down at the low end of the floor, under 0.02. I mean, we were used to a 0.04 floor for how long? You know what I mean? And it's not like there's been anything that's changed in the game or in the development that these people are fudding on or anything. That's non-existent. It's just slow. But we are, it's Web3 though too. It's the new frontier. They're building. Right. But we're seeing the progress. Every week they feel like there's something that they've done that's different, that is a change or something added to the race videos. Like we've seen the balking at the beginning of a race on some birds, which is now just become an insta win or insta
I'm not watching
podium.
I'm not watching all of them, but I'm yet to see a balk of mine win. But I'm sure they are. I just don't watch them.
That's just because they've nerfed your birds.
Oh right, my bad.
That's just for
I'll bleep off. You're right. Yeah. All right.
The data says that a balk leads to an average finish on the podium.
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah.
You are the outlier.
Yeah. That's fine. You know what? Fine. So Whammo was actually asking if we were going to get more feedback today. We are. We're gonna. There's definitely some feedback from breeding we wanted to get into, and maybe Whammo was asking if we were going to get into feedback because he called the huge lull when he did the feedback on his thing that he put in. See, he still says general sentiment bullish from Whammo, but he does say. But I think the game is going to be in a huge lull until talents drop. And it's like, it is kind of tough. He's like showing it to friends and they see the same progression during races. The start is exciting, but what board am I rooting for? It's like, once you see the talents, things can really start jumping and going a little bit crazy. So I think you're 100% correct. And I think we're just going to sit in this point for a little while and it's fine, but he's still bullish as we all are too, because nothing's changed. Not really.
I don't think so. I mean, we've seen it. Look at where we are at now compared to where we were at.
Yeah.
Say 3 weeks into January.
But Whammo does say here
that was rock bottom.
Yeah, it's true. And Whammo says, I made my friend watch. And he enjoyed it until halfway through when he's like, where's the lasers? Where are the bombs? Where are the shells? Where's all the stuff that he promised me? It's like, yeah. And yeah, we keep saying soon, and it is soon. But yeah, it's right there. But yeah, it is tough. Even Ross is saying that, he feels like things may have been, people may have been expecting the game to be a touch more predictable. It is a bit of a money suck for he says 75% of the birds. Might be right. I guess it all depends on where you're running them and how you're running them. But yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah.
But
again, not to caveat things.
Yeah.
Can't caveat things too hard. And we'll see it in the dev blog, but 37 birds have made it through their chick races. 3,700, have made it through their chick races since that reset. That tells you, again, we're not seeing a representative field in any way. Like,
yep.
Mm-hmm.
I still agree with that. Yeah.
I think I have 100 races on my best bird and the next one's like 25. So you're far more likely to see, me running my Sarama than you are to see me running my Dorking. Like,
right.
So am I the outlier again with my 2,300 races?
Well, I think there's.
I mean, I've got
there are dozens of
maybe
people
like
like
1,500 now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, there are maybe dozens of coops running thousands of times.
Yeah. I'll touch on this real quick. Super Big Timer actually just won. Congrats again. Said, why do we think talents are soon? Do you think it'll still be a while? I think we're going to start seeing them in beta soon. The beta testing group, they did mention that we may have a part of that. And we may actually be, a kind of like a sub group that is testing them. But the full implementation where we see it and all of them running on a, consistent, steady public loop, you might be right. We may still have a little bit of time before that happens. But even the tease of it, I think, is going to at least get us excited. I don't think it's going to hit the market.
I mean, we may start with one talent at a time, you know what I mean, just to get to make sure it works in the race, how that affects it. Now, okay, let's add 2 talents. Okay, what happens when we put 3 talents in here? It may take a little while to ramp that up, I'd think. And I don't know, unless they want the chaos right away. I feel like that'd be something that would get ramped up, and
Monday
they need to test it.
Yeah.
So I feel like that, I believe they allude to that in the dev blog here from this past week, that this coming week they are going to be revving and ramping up more onto the talent development. So let's just get into that.
Yeah, segue. Let's roll into it and let's get into that, and then we'll keep this going.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, night, morning, everyone, and welcome to the 35th weekly development. By the way, this is episode 40.
40.
Congrats, boys. We made it.
Our show is almost as old as Blake.
And it's got a few years there. Racing has been running very stable this past week. Here are some of my favorite stats from over the past 7 days. Yeah, this just goes to tell you, only 1,615 races ran. Favorite terrain, was rock with 274 races. Favorite distance, 100 meters with 322. And 3,700 chickens now out of chick and ranked. Those stats right there should tell you that there's still a long way to go.
Yeah.
As far as like if you think your bird is bad, it might not be that bad. We're racing the same chickens over and over and over again in all the races. You know what I mean? It's
if you think you keep seeing Sursma Gomez or whoever it is that haunts your dreams, probably are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that 3,700, that's still 10%. That's just over 10%. That's not enough. We were hoping we'd see more, but the chick races, I got a little bit of a take on them. They drove me crazy because I had 29 birds to get through, and I know a lot of people are feeling the same way. But yeah, and until we see that number, and until that number gets to like half of the chickens running, or at least a third, I feel less comfortable with what we're looking at as far as, really breaking it down.
Well, it comes down to the variance that we're expecting. We're not seeing it because we're racing the same birds. So if you spit the same, I don't know, I think about it like this. You're spitting the same variables into a code over and over and over again. It's going to be repetitive in a sense of like, my bird finishes in 4th place a lot. It probably just finishes in 4th place a lot against the birds that I'm running against, which are a lot of the same ones. I don't know. Maybe I'm going too deep on that, but
yeah. Well, Fletch just said he's racing less because he wanted to take advantage of the reset. So he just wanted more of his birds to look clean, and not have them race. That. So there,
I lasted at that literally until they gave the extra chick races, and I'm like, race them all.
People are gonna think Casey Jones is glue, but I don't care. I'm never selling that.
Those $40 I made in chick races were totally worth totally worth it.
The dodo, the pink dodo.
Yeah.
Anyways, so the devs are continuing their work on improving the back end of the system. These fixes will reduce errors, improve performance, and enhance our security. This work has slowed down the implementation of talents, but they are a vital piece of the infrastructure. Excuse me. Most of that is done now, and they're very excited for them to be working on talents in earnest next week. Yesterday, we did a little update with the race pool. Users have been asking for more free races in the ranked pecking order, so they've added them, and they did. We are now seeing a lot more races, under $1, right at $1, $2. $3. I love it. I did see the old who's jumping into that $1 million entry B race.
Oh,
anyone?
they already
$10 million payout.
Yeah, it ran as a free race, right?
It was supposed to be a free race, but apparently it bugged to become a $1 million race somehow.
See, that's what that hacker guy should have done.
Yeah,
get away with one
even though the wallet would have never paid that, but
you probably should have checked the wallet that does the payouts to see how much is in it, because I don't think it's $10 million.
No,
I hope not.
So, they did that cleanup there. They've added those races. They've actually lowered the price payout for free races, but upped the frequency of them. So we are seeing more of them in a range. I mean, I wake up now with about 12 pings in the middle of the night from our server with the free race tag, and I wonder what the hell happened.
Where's the fire?
Jesus. Oh yeah, free race.
How do you even notice 12 pings with your 300 or whatever notifications you have in your Discord?
Don't worry about that, little guy. I wouldn't worry about that.
Yeah, I have to text him for that.
Yeah, I'll send a screenshot and it's like, clear your alerts. Jesus.
Makes me upset.
1,000 emails? God.
I would just start a new email. It's over. You're never getting it back.
Yeah. Anyway, they do They're working on balancing a lot of that out and the distribution of races. So expect to see a higher frequency of free races moving forward. This is the fun part. This is cool. This was dropped by Apex in the main chat of Chicken Derby. Fingerboards, and they are awesome. I am very much kind of in love with number 4, and I do like number 2 a lot. Number 3 is pretty badass.
Yeah,
I told
2 and 4,
him I want the
really
set. I just want the set. Give me
yeah,
all
take
of them.
that.
Get myself a little rail at my desk.
Josh is
Yes.
fired.
I think 2 would be my go-to if I had to pick one of them.
It's 2 or 4 for me.
I want these, and
and it looks like that art's going to be used on like a few different things. We've seen some of that imagery already show up on like teasers of like t-shirts and such. So I think we'll see it.
This one here would be a pretty badass t-shirt. I'm not gonna lie.
Which one here? We can't see your
number
cursor.
4, sorry.
Well, that's the thing. I actually said I liked 4, and then I think Apex said that would look nice on a t-shirt. So he actually said that. I'd pay for that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. So finally, there are still some talent animations that we have not shared yet. So this is the fan group. We've been waiting to see this one. A mob of adoring fans and paparazzi will storm the field, pursue your chicken, and this is how your bird will react. Now, I know someone in the chat did say the bird needs to have a hoodie on, put the hood up, and some sunglasses, and so it's going away. Yep. Yeah, the Leo hat. So we put
like, nope, just like
you can't recognize me now.
Down, pull the shades, hood up. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Now, do the birds coming after you trample other birds on the track?
I believe so.
I think
that's in the write-up. Yep. I think that's in the write-up, and that would fit into my breakdown theory that the uncommon affect your boost and the other racers around you. So I'm pretty sure that does the next slide there. It shows just one of the type of paparazzi that'll be chasing. So I believe it'll be like a horde of paparazzi that I'm guessing in adjacent lanes are going to cause some disruption.
Yeah. So Spiver says like 150 times a day. He's like, oh my God, OMG, I wish I had a finger skateboard right now.
Sometimes I can't tell if he's being serious. It's bad.
There are often days where I'm sitting there going, you know what? I wish I had a tech deck right now because I would totally grind the rail on this bench.
Bunch of lame 90s kids.
Yeah, anyway, so the mob will be made up of other chickens, and here's one of the chickens. This is hilarious. Yeah, that's perfect paparazzi chicken. My son saw this, and he's like, Dad, is that a gun? I'm like, no, it's a camera.
That is not CK-47.
No, that's pretty awesome. Cracked out eyes, everything. Press hat.
Yeah, I like it.
That concludes the dev blog. Happy racing, and we'll see you next week. Yeah.
Yeah. So
good times.
Win talents.
Win talents indeed.
And don't tell me on Monday.
Well, it will be. It's a Monday.
Tigger said last time I sprained my finger and promised I'd never get one again. Sprained my finger with a finger skateboard.
Imagine what you would do on a real skateboard.
It happens to the best of us.
We are
to see it.
Yeah. Ross says, anyone want to guess how many chickens are in the mob that is chasing your chicken?
I'm gonna say at least 4. I would think 4, 5.
I was gonna say 5 or 6, half a dozen. That need to just kind of be going crazy and running after to cause enough of a problem.
Yeah,
to really qualify as a group, it's definitely got to be more than 3.
Would it be a flock?
A flock?
A
fan flock?
A gaggle?
Fledge says, I wish they'd share more about their marketing plan. I'm terrified they're going to run Facebook ads. Yes. You know what? I'm terrified
of them.
I'm terrified of that as well because I'm just terrified of Facebook. So, yeah, no, I understand. And I think they mentioned something about getting into that. I forget what that was. They may have just been a nugget that he dropped at some point about getting into
Facebook
how they're gonna drop that. But yes,
most boomer thing they could do.
meanwhile, they listen to the show. They're like, "All right, we're scratching out Facebook ads."
I mean, we've definitely seen that they love giveaway marketing.
Yeah, giveaway marketing.
There'll probably be a fair bit more of that, and I think we've already seen a taste of they like influencer marketing.
Yeah,
and in Web3, I think that's probably the biggest avenue that you can take. Now, if they can get mainstream media coverage, like when Zed Run was in the New York Times, like sure, that's the maximum goal, but to build up along the way to that, I think you just need to get some big accounts with lots of eyes on them to start talking about you on a regular basis.
It's funny how Zed Run gets like public, like newsworthy attention. Like I feel like Chicken Derby would end up on like some John Oliver bit.
Possible or some there's some like weird.
Look at these digital chicken JPEGs shooting each other on the fucking screen.
Bunch of jackasses.
Am I right?
He did make fun of Bored Apes during his season premiere, so that's as close as he's gotten to the subject.
That's funny.
He's not wrong. We're a bunch of jackasses. So I think we can all admit that.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do we want to talk about tonight? More do you have any more of the survey?
What's in the mailbag?
What's the mailbag?
What's in the mailbag? All right, let's pull up a few more things here. So yeah, some of the breeding stuff. I want to jump to the main one, but I don't want to just fly into it because it was an interesting one brought up by Dave B about just kind of how to go about this, and I know I've brought up things about it as well. So I guess I'm just going to jump right to it and not try to force in any others right now. So breeding obviously is one of the bigger things that we're all hoping they get right in this game. And it's also something that we kind of don't know a damn thing about.
Well, why don't we just talk about breeding first?
Yeah, let's give it a little bit.
Breeding,
what do we know? That's it.
Let's talk about the two things we know.
What do we know about breeding? Let's start there.
Well,
it's going to be a while.
You need a rooster and a hen.
Yeah.
And whoever pays the bill gets the baby.
Yep.
And I think we've covered it all.
Yeah. All right. Good recap, guys.
Yeah. I mean,
the stock goes down with each generation. We know that. We know that there's a chance that the offspring can be better than the parents. We don't have any idea what the mechanism for that would be.
Smart breeding, whatever the hell that is.
Yeah. And we know that Apex, I believe, is the one who's made the comments, is in favor of a mechanic that your cooldown lengthens the more that you breed. But then the quality of the offspring also goes up with that longer wait.
I will mention that the chat has been clamoring about information in the Chicken Derby chat about, like when breeding. Do you have any details on breeding? And I think GameStop was asking Deli that one day.
That's where I saw it.
They do have stuff in writing that they kind of have mapped out and planned, but as far as executing or ready to talk about it with us, they're not at that point, essentially, is what he said. And that's fine. I mean, I don't think you can even start thinking about the breeding side of things until we start having more birds on the tracks. I mean, there's only 3,000 chickens running.
Well, Huge Ass wanted us to know that his hens are waiting to get balked. So that's good to know. Thanks for sharing. But you're right, because that actually leads into what Dave starts out, and better Dave.
Coop, I'm pretty sure is poultry in motion. It's not better Dave racing.
So yeah, we're worried about overpopulation, of course. And obviously right now with only 3,700 birds moving through, overpopulation is the death toll of the market.
Yeah. And
there would even be some that can complain about the current population, but obviously based on the amount of wallets and everyone right now, yeah. But moving down the line, 33,000 should look small, but it can exponentially grow quite quickly. So we're stuck in this point of who can breed, how often we can breed, and what the mechanic for breeding is going to be. So here's what he brought up, and I have a thought that I had that kind of correlates as well, but I'm just going to read what he had for a minute. I think issuing permits once a season, perhaps every 3 to 4 months to control breeding would be something to consider. Maybe even every spicy chicken gets 1 permit per season, but hens can breed once per month. So to breed every month of a season would require more permits, and then a chicken gets in the season. The permits could be traded, or if you have a really poor racing performer, it would still have a value generating a seasonal permit that could be sold to different barns looking to breed more actively. So the basic concept there is that we got to get that out of the chat.
I already got it.
Okay. So I look up and I just see the chat is being attacked by.
You're good.
They knew what we were talking about.
Mhm.
They knew it was sexy season.
I'm just looking down. I look up, I'm like, whoop, nope, that's not good. So yeah, the idea of a permit, maybe a little clunky, but I like the idea that you're not just allowing anyone to show up and just breed without any type of interaction with the game. And I really do feel that why hello, Crazy J. Crazy J has woken up from our commenter in the chat.
Fletch said he'll be right back. A little bird told him about some online strips without clothing.
That's what happens. Don't look at what else pops up when you Google Cock Talk. Not great. But
don't Google us. Just come to our Discord and take links.
Back to chicken sex. The idea of a permit or the idea of using something in-game currency, token, was my thought. Is that you need to interact with the game, and that's how you get the token, and then the token is the exclusive breeding entity and currency. Mm-hmm. And I think there's something there.
There are so many things you could do with a token. I mean, whether it's in-game only, whether you make it an actual market coin with a liquidity pool that you can exchange, or anybody can create a liquidity pool for a token.
Sure.
But just to take once we get to metaverse, and once we are there, and once it is something where there's an ecosystem that has started to get created and mapped out and built, and you start to think about the other things that you can do with your chickens other than just race and or breed them. Tokenomics comes to mind, where you can send you could have your chickens in your coop, or like if and when we ever get to a point where we have land, your chickens can just be on your land, and while they're out on your land, they're doing things and collecting items that you can go and either exchange for a token, or it is the token. You know what I mean? And then you can use that for breeding, and then to make it, or you earn tokens like you were talking. I think it was brought up that earn the tokens through racing.
Yeah, I think it was JSD. He put up, I'm pretty sure he said, like, you have to race 100 times to get a token. Maybe a little high at 100, but still, like, some type of baseline where you have to actually be interacting with the game in order to reap the benefits of it. And I think that makes a lot of sense, especially in this world of not just wanting people to show up and take advantage of it and just oversaturate. And, you want people to be breeding because, we're here to make money. A lot of us are, I get it. But you want people to be breeding because they're excited about what they might get. Right. And that part of it has to stay fun. And
the other part of it is, though, too, once you add in that type of element into the game, like if your bird can go out on your land and you set it out there for 12 hours, almost like it's in a staking period or something, that it could bring back some of that token, and then you go take that token to breed more chickens so you can go and farm more of the token. I mean, it just adds another incentive towards breeding. It adds more incentive to just owning a chicken in general. I mean, you throw that into the game and watch what happens to the market.
And that could also be by way of mini games, having to interact with mini games, and thus that's how you get a token, or be a part of a crew, or sign up here and this and that. There's different parameters there that I think could work.
Absolutely.
It even helps you solve the burn mechanic, right? What am I burning for? I'm burning for a token that I can cycle back into.
Right. Everyone has said I'm totally cool with that, but you have to have a reason for me to burn it, and it needs to be a pretty good incentive for me to burn a chicken outright.
Yeah, I mean, as long I feel like the spicy generation should, that those birds probably should never be allowed to be burned. Or if they're, I don't think so. I was just gonna say, even if there was just a limit to where it just to cut the supply somewhat, I don't even think that. No, like it's something past like robust and down. Like if you end up with a 50 perfection robust bird by some miracle or I'm sorry miracle, like
By
you're
bad
not
breeding,
gonna do anything with that bird. Like what would you do with that chicken? You know what I mean? And I don't know what the range is of when you breed a bird, what that outcome would be. I imagine since they capped the species at 90, that we probably won't see many 70 overall robusts or 60 overall robusts, probably rather. 70 is probably very possible, but you know where I'm going with this. It's just to keep it from going too low to birds that are useless.
Yeah, I think
we will get to that point. But
don't mind me.
I'm
just threatening violence in the chat.
I think the robust generation has to hang out near the spicy generation in terms of quality. Like it can't just be a precipitous drop where they're 40% below. But by the time you get down to bland, you're gonna have made your way most of the way down to, down where Jackie Daytona's PO is.
But that also still opens the door that if you own more chickens, you'd be able to farm more goods and do things other than race those chickens.
Well, that's the thing. Like, how are they going to make owning a bland somewhat incentivized? Like, where is the benefit? Like,
how do I monetize that? Like, am I building a racetrack on it? Am I staking my land in some way? Like,
and maybe the blands are the burns, and that's easy. It's like, okay, you burn those, and that's how you get the other stuff to do other things with the land
the bottom?
Or the token. Yeah,
bland is the bottom.
Yeah. So that's the problem. That's really the biggest problem. There is that long term. But it isn't a problem.
There also has
it's an opportunity.
Like you said, there also has to be some sort of benefit to owning that, or a fresh, for that matter. Are there going to be like? I imagine if we get to that point of that many birds in the population, there has to be new number of classes and ranges of. I mean, spicy only races, or robust and spicy up in this class, and down is the lower end birds where they just duke it out. Because you still have to, if you're going to have it tiered out that far, those birds still have to be able to do something, right? Or you're going to end up with a Z problem where you've got glue on the floor and no one's buying it. Because there's so many of them.
And it does say flat out in the tutorial that the stock is only one of the factors that will determine a chicken's performance during a race. So it's not just like a bland won't be a good breeder. It says that it typically, is going to affect the performance in a race. Now, I think it was Andrew Rose brought up earlier, like, are they going to do things like dork-only races? And it's like, all right, well, maybe that's where we could get into, a bland class, a tender class. Down the line, the classes could be all over the place. We have tons of users. We have tons of chickens. We have demand out the ass. And you could bring up all kinds of stuff. But until you have that demand, then obviously we stick with the classes we have now.
I'm curious what like we've talked about a cool down period. I'm curious what something like spices can breed forever, right? Because they are the lifeline in the beginning of the game. But maybe once you get to like the robust and down, maybe their breeding is limited. They're capped at so many breeds. Right? Something like that. It may not have to be a low number or something like that, but at least something that would keep the population down, or like with the cool downs, depending on how they do that. If that's like an extended amount of time, that's the other thing. You got to get that just right, I feel like, because if you got a cool down and it grows up, like when does that expire? Like, does it always just go up? Am I going to end up having to wait like a year eventually to breed my bird again?
I hope there's a ceiling on it, right? That eventually gets to, let's just say 90 days, and that's the highest it will ever go. And you can breed every 90 days from here till eternity.
Right. Now, if the token isn't just something that you can pay for and you can earn it, then maybe the token, you can pay extra tokens to accelerate that and have it do a little bit faster, But then again, tokens still need to have a good, you still want to make it hard to breed so people don't just pay tokens. So the tokens have to have other uses as well. So you have to, the gamification comes into how am I going to use the amount of tokens I have. And if I use X amount of tokens and it's a hefty price to accelerate your breeding, so be it. Then you might not have much for anything else. So,
or like, what if you could use tokens to have a higher chance of getting a better bird out of the breed? You know what I mean? Like you pay a premium to get a 40% chance at a 95 or up or something silly like that. You know, or you know what I mean?
But all of this is
hypothetical, but
no, but all of this, even the hypotheticals we're throwing out there that probably most won't come to fruition, it's all just the basis that the using the token in this regard makes a lot of sense to me, because the options just open up wide.
Yeah, I think it's important to me that whatever they do token wise has this sort of utility and rewards the screen time heavy user over the big wallet user per se. Now, if I want to sell some of the token and a whale doesn't want to spend screen time, they just want to spend dollars, then that's kind of good for both of us because I can get some extra money in my bank balance that way.
Right. There's a balance there. Yeah.
If the token is just a shit coin that doesn't have that utility in the game, like it's just, you're looking at a recipe for a pump and a dump, and then it's never
gonna, or a sunflower game where you're just sitting there click harvesting all day.
Like, right, that sort of thing can kill a project if it's not done properly with like thought about, okay, how is this token actually going to be useful within our environment, whether that can be sold on coin exchanges or otherwise. Like, how is it useful to a chicken owner? And I think tying it into like rewards from racing, useful in breeding, you know, if it's how you buy decorations for your clubhouse, whatever. But I think breeding is the core utility that would make me really excited about a token coming into the game.
Or token only races. Maybe you don't have the ETH to go and race, but you can go and join up in some token only races.
Well, that was my thought.
Back.
And I did get some type of positive emoji emote from Apex when I said a suggestion we were talking in the beta channel was that like long term to have some type of incentivized system based around the token or based around, you know, something that gives you incentive within the game for the free races and not just free ETH, you know, long term. And I think it was like it was either like a thumbs up or some kind of thing within that, like that almost like, yeah, we've kind of talked about that, you know, and that's in the plans kind of thing. Not guaranteeing, it was just a little interaction, but it does make sense. It really does. And as you know, Fledge says here, the token should be used to buy land, track ownership, and everything else in the metaverse. It really should. Yeah, so that way, there's legitimate gamification. You have to decide how you're going to use that token. You know, not really pumping another project, but just for the sake of it. Fancy Bears right now gives you honey, and you can do different things with it with your bear. And if you apply it to different kind of characteristics and traits, you can harvest better. You can have a better chance of upgrading in certain ways. Like they're making you look at this token they just airdropped you and decide what are you going to do with it. Are you just going to go to Uniswap and swap it out for something? Or are you going to wait till we have our own exchange? Or are you going to actually play the game?
Well, and making the token be used for everything, like Fledge is alluding to here, that would only make that coin or token, the value of it, it would always have some sort of value in it, because any type of long-term investor that owns land and owns tracks and owns things in the metaverse needs that in order to keep it. So
to play the game,
it's one of those things. I mean, you could even have it as incentives for classes too. Maybe S class, if you're in S class, you get to earn more with that bird that's in S class.
Well, that's like the upgrading
it out like that too.
Well, that's like upgrading to Fancy Bear, and then you can actually get more honey. So it's like, and they've said before, and we've discussed before, that there needs to be an incentivized, for higher classes. Moving up should be a good thing.
Yeah. Well, and like what Unicorns is doing with everything too. I mean, it's the whole same ecosystem concept, that they're building with around like rainbow milk and stuff like that. It's just, it's crazy. And it just, everything just makes sense with what they're doing with that. And we've seen it already, how people have reacted to it. And
that has to be the challenge, right? Where when when your tokens like paper describing how it works becomes this multi-page document, like it has to make sense. And it can't make your onboarding process become impossibly difficult, right? The new user who comes in and wants to buy one chicken has to kind of understand what this token is going to be good for. Hopefully they can still start racing with their ETH and, well, that'll start stacking up token as they go.
Yeah.
But then it's got to be quick and easy to be like, okay, what can I do with this token? Well, step one, you can breed with it. And then when you want to go deeper, here's where deeper is. You can get into all this other stuff and you can.
And that is the beauty of it, is that in the end, they did say, especially in that first video, like this is the game will always have racing, buy chicken. It's just like they have it, buy chicken, race chicken, win ETH. Like that's it. That's the basis of the opening. And if the very next thing when you see the token is breeding, then okay, it's an easy move to the next section. And then, like you said, Dave, depending on how immersed you want to get, it's all there for you.
Well, I think it would help the breeding on the front of it wouldn't the token would like if you were to use the token for breeding only, right? Eliminate the ETH out of it completely. What would that do to like the floors of breeding with a certain heritage, right? I mean, would that make it more difficult to breed with, or make, like, I know there are people out there that they're in this just for the breeding. Like they want to make it to where they can just spit out birds and make some kind of a passive income out of it. And that's not a bad strategy. I mean,
well, that was the interesting part
there,
of what Dave B said here, is that like to collect the offspring, you would need a permit. So if you wanted to get the offspring, you would need the permit. Whereas otherwise, if you were just studying out, you're studying out, and that's all it is. Studying out should probably still be ETH, but there probably needs to be some type of, break into that, and obviously the ability to swap that. And is that going to be a swappable thing that they have, or do you have to go to a liquidity pool? So believe me, I know this isn't an easy thing to put together, but
right.
To do this right, this all kind of, has to really be a well-oiled situation.
Yeah, because in theory, you can go full token everything, and then that token has a value in ETH, and you could swap in and out.
Sure.
Rather than kind of being on the, on the Polygon network. But I mean, that's getting a little bit bigger. But if it costs one token to breed plus whatever the fee in ETH that the person who's studying has set for their bird, then
with the token feeling like the permit, it's kind of the same idea. Like
I amassed a full unit of token, right, so that I can breed, and then it would just be whether does the stud get that token? Does the token go back into the game basically to be recycled,
harvested? Makes sense.
Because then if I'm getting the token for studding, then it's like stud one, breed one. You kind of have a bit of a way to balance your books, but then the token will just sort of begin to pile up that way, right? If people are generating it and never kind of returning it.
Yeah, you definitely want to make sure that there's reasons to be using it. So
that's why if it's for the first utility of it is to race with it and to breed with it. I mean,
makes basic sense. Yeah,
I do like the idea of it being, take the JSD idea where you race 100 times to generate enough token to breed. I think, if it's 100 times in D class, maybe it's 50 races in S class, because, you're incentivizing running at the highest possible levels.
Yeah. What Crazy J said, that makes sense. Give us incentive to lose an S. So yeah. And then, of course, Fledge said some kind of burn mechanism on the coin as well. So, yeah, the idea of using the burn and being able to swap it for different things and create that, all of that really can work. And that also helps control the population if you can burn birds. And, they've said they want to do that. So I think it excites me to think. And then, of course, seasons seem like, if we're taking what Hems was talking in DMs with, to a at least a little bit of heart, which I think we can, then seasons are going to matter. Maybe you have to use your tokens in a season or something like that.
You got to pay to enter the season or have so many tokens to get this bird in that registered for that.
Who knows?
Generate X amount of tokens to get into the season finale or whatever it might be. Like, there's lots of ways you can play with it. Again, how crazy do you want to get?
crazy.
Well,
I want to go really crazy with this shit.
It also it would be
my mind to melt,
one of those
honestly.
things like if it does come to fruition of something like that, you could even turn around and repay back, airdrop the people that have been in the game since the beginning type of thing. And reward all those people that were in closed beta and all that stuff with token.
Yeah. You could apply whatever you're going to apply to racing going forward. You could apply going backwards, and people who've already raced 4,000 times will get 4,000 races worth of token.
Yeah, I mean
that might fix Tyler's ROI.
Yeah, I'm already fixing it. It's going up.
The problem is that the shock of that being dropped to everybody, there would have to be a demand for it and utility around it, or else it's another worthless shitcoin, right?
Yeah, you don't want to just sit there and be nothing, right? So
there's a double-edged sword, but I mean, these are just ideas.
It's going to take a minute.
Yeah.
And we all know that it's going to take a minute. And anyone that's buying right now with the idea that they're going to be able to flip a bird in a week, we know we're not there. Mm-hmm. So, that's all.
And I think even though we talk about this, like, I think the first iteration of breeding is just going to be ETH standard, normal in the marketplace. And that might still be 4, 5, 6 months away from where we are right now. And the token's still probably further down the road than that when we've got a bit more of a realized version of the metaverse.
We got to walk before we can run.
Yeah. And just like racing, we've started it without a token. That's fine. And that doesn't mean you can't add it in later. I think you can do the same sort of logic with breeding.
Absolutely. And then Crazy J says, aren't we getting airdrops of clothes? Yes, that is still something that is on the horizon, but I believe that won't be addressed until after we get, marketplace.
I think that was, did they say that was before marketplace or after marketplace? I know they addressed that at some point.
Not sure, but it's in somewhere in that range.
Yeah, it's possibly after marketplace now, just so that they don't have to deal with listing them all on OpenSea.
Yeah,
that might make some sense.
It's understandable.
You could sell them right in the marketplace.
Yeah,
but they'd be nice to have.
Yeah, they would. But
so then again,
I'd rather have talents.
Just want a fancy chicken.
That's the thing. Rather have talents. That's right.
I'd rather have talents. I want talents.
The luster
I'd rather have talents and marketing and marketplace and all those other things, but
the luster
for my chicken would be nice.
Will just fall off really quickly when it's like, okay, cool, I have a Rasta hat, but I still don't have my jetpack. So it's like, and I get it. You'd be right.
But wait for that Rasta jetpack.
Yeah,
but I was gonna sell that Rasta hat for 0.005.
Ooh, like a weed pack where it's just a big blunt that's just like burning, and new talent created it.
Blunted.
All right, let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here. This was supposed to be our short show.
Yeah.
We had nothing to talk about.
Never a short show.
Right. So you know where to find us. We're in the Coop Collective Discord and in the Chicken Derby Discord.
We're everywhere.
Barn Drive's still going on. Get yourself a barn. Get yourself in a giveaway for some birds. And you can find yourself a Coop Collective 548 barn on OpenSea. Yeah.
It's the only way to guinea pig bingo. So
the bingo is coming. Yep.
Holders of the 548 barns, make sure you're on the lookout for that. We will be hopefully getting something put out this week so we can get that started and let you guys break it, test it. Don't cheat, Fledge. I'll find you. But no, we're just trying to find some fun things to keep everybody engaged, keep everyone racing, keep those races filling. We're hopefully, ABC's been doing the streaming of the races in the Discord. We've been talking about doing that for quite some time now. We're gonna hopefully try and do that.
I think it was like 1 in the morning
Discord as well.
Hems time.
Different times. Yeah, it was like 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday.
For us, which was 1 a.m. for Hems in New Zealand, just hammering them out.
It was
it was fun.
Time.
It was
good
fun.
Discussion that was happening. It was I had a blast.
Hems was trying to get us to join $100. It was like he kept trying to get us to join $160 road race, but which just so happened to be Memory Reset's favorite one. He was like, "Oh, Tyler, I have a great one for you right here."
That's as bad as
you outed Memory Reset.
As MJ's trying to get me to race him on Jizz Factory's perfect track.
Yeah, how about you join this 100 Rock for $9? 2 spots left. Oh, Jizz Factory's in it.
Oh yeah, great.
Snake.
I know your data. You show it to us every day.
Fucking guy.
You snake.
Anyway.
Love you, MJ.
Yeah, so check that out. If you want to get in on the bingo, you got to own a barn right now. So make sure if you want to do that, check out our Discord. You can ask us, hit up one of the founders, tag the founders, tag me at Grateful Coops or at MBF Express or at Pecking Order Racing, who's all here present, or Water Racing. He's around somewhere. Yeah, if you'd like to get in on that, check it out. We got good things coming. Always. Yeah, that's our show. We are the Coop Collective, and we will see you next week. Goodbye.
That was better without Blake, huh?